Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our next speaker, Dilwyn Scott, to the left.
Chair, ladies and gentlemen, my evaluation will be split into 3 parts. I shall have a look at the content and how it was arranged. I'll have a look at the delivery, and then hopefully I will give some useful advice. I thought this was an interesting speech. I thought it was more of a fireside chat than a speech. I think it would have been a good piece of radio broadcast rather than in public. However, let's have a look at the arrangement. First of all, good opening. Simon really asked a good question and engaged the audience straight away. What he didn't do was give some guideline early on as to where the speech was going. There was no indication of purpose. During the main body of the speech, the thesis, it was well organised, there was a logic to it, the Gardener's World bit, and then the various people, Brenda, Leroy, Trudy, and so on. And then he had a look at us, which was a nice roundup to that little centrepiece. The conclusion was very disguised. There wasn't really a summary of the argument, and the last line was good, but not quite delivered with enough panache. How do I know it wasn't delivered with enough panache? Because he finished, and then he had to indicate to the chair that he was finished before we applauded. That means that voice music wasn't quite right. In terms of how it was delivered, the gestures were a little symmetrical. A lot of the time they were doing this, and any moment you could expect him to do something quite dreadful. The eye contact early on was good, but this idea of standing to one side of the lectern, that's fine, as long as you're speaking without a script. But if you have to refer to your notes all the time, it makes the notes all the more noticeable. So that was a bit of a distraction. The eye contact deteriorated as the presentation went on. There were, however, some lovely, good, big gestures. This Derek, who was cleaning his hob, was a good, violent gesture. Now, in terms of the voice, the pace was good. And I liked the fact that there was some modulation. Now, this is where I've got a problem with this machine that I'm wearing. I don't know whether this young man could speak to an audience without a microphone. Therefore, he was able to use a very gentle voice, very soft, but I don't know whether he could fill the room with his voice, and I think he is more likely to speak without a microphone, and therefore will need to learn to project rather than just use this. My pieces of advice, obviously, first thing, practice without a microphone. I would suggest to him that he tries an attack speech. Get something he really hates and go at it. You know, like Dill Scott about competitions. Go and have a good go at it. Don't put the lectern on one side, because that is awkward for him. So if you're going to stand to one side, learn it and do it freehand. Take the risk of stumbling. Practice keeping to time. I don't know why I dare say this, because some of you will know I have been guilty of doing 4 minutes, 2-minute topics, and therefore for me to tell somebody else, keep an eye on the time, is really odd. And then, finally, I would say tighter structure. Do make sure in your introduction you've got an indication of purpose. The summary at the end was clever because you referred back to all the other things, but get a good punchline so that you can speak and finish, turn and go, just as I'm going to do now.